Joining me now is Andriy Zagornyuk, who served as Ukraine's defense minister in 2019 and 2020. Very good to have you with us. I'm wondering how you and President Zelensky will be seeing this meeting between Presidents Trump and Putin, in particular starting with some of the imagery that we saw, that handshake, these two leaders together, getting in a car together. What does that signal to you? Does it concern you?
Well, of course, because this is probably biggest criminal right now living on earth, person who murdered his own, like hundreds of thousands of people, ours, destroyed cities and so on. So it's very tough to see that. Clearly, that whole attention and the whole level of the meeting and the massive attention and special treatment and all that is an enormous favor to Putin. We believe that this favor was given in order then to have a kind of a stronger negotiation position. However, it's difficult for us to see that. Obviously, we have to see the overall outcome. But there's most of people in Ukraine, I have to say, quite skeptical about the outcome, because we don't believe that Putin has changed his like a high-level strategy at all. There is no single indicator that he did. So we believe that he would be trying to, for lack of better word, please Trump, President Trump, to make sure that he is not unhappy. But at the same time, we don't believe that he will change something dramatic and basically will, change his war plans and so on. But we'll see. We'll see tonight.
President Zelensky has said we are counting on the United States. And on Air Force One, President Trump had said, if we're talking about territorial swaps, Ukraine has to sign off on that. Does that give you confidence that Ukraine's position, Ukraine's red lines will be represented in this meeting that's going on right now?
Well, that's what President Trump has said, and that seems like he promised. So he's not going to trade Ukrainian territories for some promises. But frankly speaking, the territorial swaps are not going to be helpful. That's basically a dead-end solution, because and it's not just because they're illegal and unconstitutional, and it's not because it legitimizes Putin's acquisitions, because he's swapping something he stolen from Ukraine. So it's not like he's swapping any other territories. So it's deeply unfair, and from a strategic perspective, that's extremely wrong. But most importantly, it doesn't bring peace, and that's what the most important thing. Because even hypothetically giving up the territories for some promises of not to continue the war, these promises can be revoked at any time. Putin has changed his mind, and there is absolutely no way to enforce that promise. The United States is not going to provide security guarantees to Ukraine. That seems like off the table. Europe cannot provide, because Europe doesn't have those capabilities, so it's even theoretically impossible. So Ukraine will have to enforce that promise from Russia by itself, which is not much different from what's happening today. And you only can give territory once. And I'm saying it's hypothetically, because again, I don't think President Zelensky will entertain that idea. But that's a false promise of something better in the future. But it may set in stone the Russian conquering Ukrainian land, and it will be terrible for the future history, both of Ukraine and the rest of the free world.
So what do you think it would take then for President Zelensky to now get on a plane, let's say, if President Trump were to say that the three of us are now going to meet here in Alaska, what outcome would be needed for President Zelensky to agree to that?
I think President Zelensky would come, because if President Trump suggests the meeting, the peace always has to be given a chance. We cannot walk away from the peace process. Because in any case, we have to be in a good faith. We have to follow the process, whatever that is. But it's a question of that process has to be reasonable, and it has to actually lead to peace rather than to some, wrong goals. But I think President Zelensky will participate in any meetings suggested by the United States.
We'll leave it there for today. Andriy Zagornyuk, former defense minister of Ukraine. Very good to get your perspective on this historic summit here in Alaska. Thank you very much.